I made a huge mistake, a rookie mistake that I'm going to get ripped up for in the comments, and I totally deserve it, I guess. Today, we're really excited to start off a new project with you. About a month ago, we got a $50 bike off of the Facebook Marketplace, and I think you're going to like what we found. All right, going through the parts that we bought, we got a Microshift Advent X 10-speed cassette and derailleur with a clutch. So we were putting all that Advent X together. We got the shifter. We ended up going with the really cheap cranks and bottom bracket. We got this cheap fork, which we've done a review on, and we're going to do a little bit more testing on in the future. Handlebars, a shortened stem. So here's the matching stem that goes with that. We had to get a new set of spacers and star nut for the top tube there, or sorry, for the steerer tube. And then we got this Zoom hydraulic brake set. Finally, total cost is about $437 for the parts, plus the $50 for the bike. We found the Specialized Hardrock on the Facebook Marketplace, and the only thing that was wrong with it is that this derailleur was all bent up in the spokes, which means they just didn't have all of these different screws and whatnot adjusted correctly. And basically the chain is twisted and kinked. It's the derailleur hanger, the derailleur itself, and the chain are all garbage. But the rest of the bike is in pretty good shape. But at $50, we couldn't help ourselves to kick off a much bigger project. So we're gonna build a bit of a Frankenstein bike and we're gonna make this completely overhauled. So we weighed it in, it's at 32 pounds right now, and we're gonna see if we can't shed a few pounds. We're gonna get all of this stuff off. We're gonna change the cassette. We're gonna change the derailleur hanger, get that fixed, get a new derailleur on here. We're gonna take off the front derailleur. These newer bikes, we don't even use this anymore. There are many riders that don't even know how to use this properly. So with a lot of mountain bikes today, they're just going with one chainring here and a large range of gears here in the back, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put on an experimental fork, and I can't wait to show you what we've got for the fork. We're gonna give this wider bars, right? Make this a much better bikes to make you feel more solid on the trail. Right now, these are about 620 millimeters wide, and we're gonna upgrade that to about 780. Maybe cut it down to 740, we'll see, somewhere in there. Anyway, that is the Specialized Hardrock, and these boys are about to kick off their own journey of getting this bike completely torn down and fixed up. So
we're gonna start by taking the derailleur off, and then the cassette.
Derailleur hanger.
The derailleur hanger.
Wheel.
The wheel, then the cassette. Then we're going to move forward, and there's a kickstand under here that we need to take off.
Yeah, we definitely don't need that.
And we're going to take these cranks off and this derailleur. Okay, you got to hold the other side.
Okay. That was not on there very good. So you just do that. Pull that tire out. There you go. There's step one. I believe that's a 5, is it not?
It's a 6.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go up here, and if it's not the same size, I'm going to try to take off the... Oh, wow. Yeah, that's way bigger.
Okay. Make sure you don't lose any of the hardware to any of these things, okay? So what should you have done before you probably pulled any of that off? We probably went in the wrong order, right?
Yeah.
So what should have come off before this? The chain. And then the cable. Right?
Okay.
So you need, let's get your tool and you pull the cable off next. Andrew's going on the kickstand. Fortunately, we've got a nice big Allen wrench for that. Okay, Tyler, you got the cable loose. Nicely done. So now just go ahead and pull the cable out of there. Sorry, pull the derailleur off of the cable. There you go. The next thing is going to be the derailleur hanger. Yep, that black piece right there. All right, good. There's the hanger. Okay, we're getting these dust covers off of these cranks, and Andrew's going to show you how you use the pedal in your favor here. There you go. And it should be loose. So this just pulled off. You can see that this just, they call it a square taper bottom bracket. This is the bottom bracket here. And there we go. There's our squared pedal crank. Okay, our crank, and we just pulled it right off. But we had to have that tool. And these are not super expensive. You can find these on Amazon for about $5, $10, $15, somewhere in there. Okay, the way that this crank puller works is we pulled the dust covers off. So we'll actually just screw this tool into that hole there. And then once that gets screwed in, then we'll start turning this. And this just pushes out and pushes against the actual squared screw down there in the bottom and pulls the whole crank out as these two separate. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, Tyler's gonna get this tool all screwed in there. Okay, so now with the tool in, we just finger tighten this down till it's tight. So it has to turn this way, okay? So if you put that on, right, it has to turn. You're not on, Ty. There you go, okay. So you're gonna hold that there and it has to turn this way. So Andrew can actually pull the crank up while you hold the tool in place. And it's gonna get a little hard. Okay, now reset. And it's just a little hard for a second or two. Okay.
Ow.
Okay, so hang on, you guys are fighting each other a little bit. Okay, Ty, you got your strong spot. Andrew, you got your strong spot. And go ahead and pull. Well, here's the story. The other crank puller did not work. And so if you look at this, we bent the heck out of it using the sledgehammer. We had to prop it up on some wood. I mean, this was an absolute hack job. We were doing everything not the way it was supposed to be done. But when your crank is made out of the cheapest metals ever, the crank puller strips all the threads out of there. So those all got stripped. We could no longer push against or use those threads to pull against and pull this out. And we had to soak this thing in WD-40 and then some extra machine gun oil that we had. And then eventually, with about 2 hours worth of hacking away with the sledgehammer, right, Andrew? We were able to get this off and just say this was no fun. But we are now one step closer. Good, Ty? That is the bottom bracket. And you see the cranks just go.
Oh, I smell the grease.
Cranks just go on top of that. And that's why these are just pressed on, basically, these cranks. So you'll see the new bottom bracket we're gonna replace that with is much different. Day one, we've got most of the bike stripped down. We still have a few things to go. We still have to get the brakes off and get the fork off. We do plan on leaving all of these housings, all these cable housings, just so you know, except for the cable housing to the brake. Andrew, I need that piece. So we're gonna dry fit this on here today and figure out where we want to trim this top tube. So we're just kind of getting everything set. You gotta tighten that down. All right, go ahead and give it a tighten down there. First-hand glimpse of where we want to be. I'm wondering if we I wonder if we put like 1.5 underneath.
I have an idea.
Okay, you haven't shared with us your idea.
Can you hold the bike? I'm gonna see like how awkward it is from where I would be sitting.
Okay, well let's put
like how much I'm leaning over. I didn't realize how wide these bars were.
They're wide, huh?
Yeah.
So we'll trim them a little bit. We'll probably trim them into here. But that's still going to be way wider than what they were. Right, what if we did like 1.5 underneath?
That feels more natural.
What if we cut it like right there?
I like that.
Okay, that's our mark. All right, so that's the derailleur hanger.
Is it normal that's not completely flush with the bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we are just making sure that it's nice and straight. Hey, Andrew, you're a little too focused there.
I don't think it's going in.
Well, that's because you're not actually trying to get it in.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Take better care.
Oh, there it is.
To do it right. There we go. I mostly want to check here where it meets the derailleur hanger.
Yeah, I was looking at that piece, making sure it was right.
All right, let's keep going. So Tyler's got the right side, I've got the left side. This is the new bottom bracket. You'll see that it looks so much different than the old style, right? This is hollow. It's actually called Hollow-Tech 2 is the technology. And it weighs like a fraction. This thing weighs like a pound, and this thing weighs next to nothing. So the really interesting thing is, I think the drive side, so the side that the chain goes on, is actually an opposite drive. So you're going to make that lefty-tighty, not righty-tighty. And I've got spacers. I think my side actually needs spacers. So I'm going to put my spacers on. We've put a little grease on here and some grease in the bottom bracket as well. We're just going to rub that in. And the one thing you want to be very careful of is do not cross thread. So don't force it. Make sure it should go in nice and easy. And then when we get a little bit tighter, we can switch to our bottom bracket tool. This is our bottom bracket wrench. And it just sits right on those. And there's actually a spec, and it's listed right on here on how tight these are supposed to be. I forgot to mention, we actually had an oval, narrow, wide. You can see this is the narrow, wide. You can even see it more so this way. Wide, narrow. This helps keep the chain on the chain ring, but we had an oval chain ring sitting in the gear bin. So we're going to use that, see how that does, and stick it on here. So Andrew's going to do the honors.
And then it slides.
Just should slide all the way through.
There's a lot of grease out on the outside now.
That's okay, so we can pull that out. We can get a rag in there in a second and get that to wide up nice and good. How does our clearance look? Okay, just to give you guys a glimpse of the difference between these two cassettes. Right, that one doesn't have very good range.
That's gonna make for some easy climbing.
This is gonna make for some great climbs. So we're just gonna drop this on. I think that's a good one.
There we go.
So then this goes on there. This goes on like so. That doesn't make me feel good. But that one didn't even stop. I'm starting to think I've got the wrong freewheel body. This one should still lock into the free hub like that one does, but this one won't. So this is the part in the video when I have to admit defeat. Not even you. I made a huge mistake, a rookie mistake that I'm gonna get ripped up for in the comments, and I totally deserve it, I guess. Here's the mistake that I made. I got so excited to upgrade this bike that I forgot what kind of cassette was on here in the first place. Long story short, it had a 7-gear cassette in the back, which means it had a 7-gear cassette rear wheel free hub body is what they call it. So the free hub body is just this piece. Because it's not long enough this way, it can't fit the cassette that I bought. In other words, this stupid wheel is only meant to fit 7 gears, and it can never be upgraded. I would have had to have bought a whole new wheel. And while we could have done that, I'm just sick and tired of messing with it. So we're going to switch to plan B. For the rest of this video, what we're going to do is we're going to put this bike back together. We had to tear up some parts to get them off of this bike, but fortunately I have some spare parts in that bike. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to put this bike back together. We're going to sell it, we're going to tune it up, get it all ready to go, and we're going to sell it and hopefully get our money back. We only really put $50 into this bike. And what we'll do is we'll take all the new parts that we bought and we're going to put them on that baby right there. This bike, that video we're going to save for the next episode. Let's just get back to this video. We're going to get this thing reassembled, get it all done tonight, and get it listed on the Facebook Marketplace so we can move on and forget the nightmare that this has been so far. Anyway, let's get to it. Unlike the build, the bike actually went back together pretty easily. We got it all tuned up and everything. We got a new derailleur hanger, derailleur, and chain put onto it. So we were in about $100 between the $50 for the bike and the $50 for the parts. And we got it listed, had 10 offers in 24 hours. The bike miraculously sold for $325. That's a $225 profit for us. So we're going to take all that money and lick our wounds and go and build the next bike. We'll see you guys in the next video.